it it's more it's more difficult than it should be, but it's understandable, you know. And that's something that you have no control over. It's
Mm.
their process and their system, and they they set it up, and in that situation, all that you can do is sort of wait in a sort of preparatory sense. I mean, you prepare for the different possible eventualities and outcomes. But yeah, I mean, that's problem between big company and small company, right? But you walk into a small company, you say to somebody, can you do this? And they'll go, all
Mm.
right. You walk into a big company and say, can you do this? They'll be, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I have to ask somebody and we have to see, or we don't do that, or, it's big ship, small ship, isn't it?
Mm.
The small boat can turn really quickly,
Mm.
right? Turn on the spot. But the big ship, it needs a big arc of
Mm.
space in order to turn the big ship. So that's um, the flexibility of being small, being independent, and being yourself is the ability to change direction quickly, which is necessary in life. Yeah. Um, Larger organizations are always the last to change.
Mm.
The world is always changed by individual people. Look at who designs software. It's always some dude in his bedroom somewhere, you
Mm.
know, and who's explored something because he or she liked it and wanted to do something with it. Yeah. Um, and it's always them that change things, and not the big organizations. Um, it's especially visible in software,
Mm.
where companies release software and it doesn't work very well, and it's big companies. And one person comes along and says, "Okay, I will. I'll do something different for that," and they change it and they make it better. It's always the individual person. I put it in the context of video games where there are modders, and the modder is a person who upgrades the quality of a game. So big games company spends years, has 10, 20, 30, maybe 50 developers working on a game, release the game, and the game is average or even bad. And somebody comes along and says, no, no, I'll make the game good. And one person themselves completely, completely rebuilds the whole thing and makes it work. It's something that companies can't do. Um, and so that happens all the time. And strangely enough, people should be happy when people do that, but a lot of the time they're not. A lot of the time they get frustrated or angry that somebody else has improved their product, whatever it is. Cars are a great example. Your average car, when your average car is not very good. I'm sorry,
Mm.
but your average car is not. And
Mm.
that's why you have private garages and modders and people who come along and they, they,
Mm.
they tweak the engine and they add bits and pieces to it and um, they make it run better. And it's always independent and individual people who do that. The company is not improved by the company. The company is improved by individuals within the company who do different things, because only by doing different things can we be better. Um, if we continue to do the same thing all the time, we have sustainability, but only to a point, because sustainability falls over time. It's a graph of energy. Yeah. If you if you played football at the top class of football in the 1970s, and you put a top class 1970 footballer in a league today, he wouldn't be in the first 3 or 4 divisions. You know, your top class footballer from the 1970s would be at the bottom today, because sustainability is not progress. And to progress, you have to break sustainability. And to break sustainability, you have to do something different. And that means focusing on the individual person, because the company person will follow the processes, but the genius will break the processes. Right? The genius will break the rules. They will. They might even break the law. I don't encourage people to break the law because there are strong repercussions for it. But the genius very often will, and sometimes breaking the law saves people. I mean, sometimes you have to go beyond the law in order to find the solutions. One of those solutions is, how do you know you're making something better? And that's related to processes. And I learned this years ago working with somebody in a technical company. I'm like, how do you know that X is better than Y? And he said, well, if X is 4 processes, or if Y is 4 processes and X is 3 processes, I said, I've removed one of the processes. So that theoretically simplifies everything. So if you turn 4 into 3, it's a strong argument for it's better. Yeah. If you go to the gym 4 times a week and you can do the same amount of activity by going to the gym 3 times a week, then you've improved something. Yeah. You've sharpened something. Or and the world is improved by people like that, and it takes time, but that simplification is the order of how we measure a lot of progress in the world. I watched someone do this recently. How do I describe this? It's a digital product related to virtual reality. When virtual reality systems are released, they're average, because you have to release the average system to work with all other average systems in the aggregate of systems. If you release a super system, it won't work with everything because not everything is super. Everything is average, right? And everything can always be better. That's why computers can be overclocked. You can take your average computer and make it run like a supercomputer by knowing what to change and where to change it. And so this person built a program that you can put on your virtual reality headset, and it will increase the graphics by 50%, which is a lot. The developers can't do it, but this one French guy did it. And when he did it, there was a problem because there were 13 things you needed to do to make it work. 13. And I watched this guy do this over a period of 3 months. There were 13 things you had to do to make it work. And I know because I did it, because I was like, this is really cool. But there's 13 things you have to do. Every time you put your headset on, there's 13 things you have to do to upgrade it. And you know what? After 2 or 3 weeks, there were 12 things you had to do. And then there were 11. And then there were 10. And then there were 8. And then there were 6. And after 3 months, he reduced it to 0. After 3 months, from 13 processes to 0. Took him 3 months to do it. Yeah. And he did the work that all of the other companies in the world couldn't do together. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of people with billions of dollars of resources. We're talking infinite people with infinite resources couldn't do it. But this one Frenchman sat in his bedroom with his computer, and over 3 months, he solved the problem by himself. And that's the only way that things will progress in the future. The only way that things will progress in the future is if we allow individual people a little bit of space to work on what they think will make things better, and there's a lot of failure as well. It wasn't just he sat down and typed in things and made it work. It's like he failed many times. He failed thousands of times to make it work. But he refined his process and reduced the number of steps involved and eventually made it basically automatic, which is what we want with our processes. We want them to be almost automatic because that frees us up to do other things. That's why we should view AI as a clone of ourselves and encourage the technology to do what we would do so that we can go and do something else. People really need to be aware of that right now, because in the next 6 months, everything's going to change even faster than it changed in the last 6 months.